Well, hello. Welcome back to another edition of Survive to Thrive. I'm Dr. Todd, bringing you trips. I'm going to bring you a trip. No, I'm not a travel agent. I'm actually bringing you tips and tricks every day to help you move out of a world of just surviving to a world of thriving. And today is no different. We're going to be talking about hormones. And hormones kind of piggybacks off of the yesterday's podcast, which was on how the nervous system can influence all these types of things, but our emotions influence hormones. We're going to talk about how hormones actually influence our body. Dominance in one way or another, testosterone, estrogen, things like that can have a detrimental effect on the body. It literally has I guess if you will, either anabolic effect or catabolic, which means it can help build the body or help break the body be down. And so it is a fine balance. Now, I'm going to bring this full circle, and it's kind of rare. I'm usually talking about some motivation for you, some connections, and we'll bring this all together. But we're going to get scientific. We're going to get doctor on you, which is very rare for me, but doctor on you, because you need to understand these hormones and what may be going on. Oftentimes we write hormones off. Women take the brunt end of this, don't we? I am one. No, women, you take the brunt end of this stuff in the aspects of, it just must be that time of the month. So we write that off. And it's always a big joke that men just have multiple times a month. We just don't calculate it, and we're not actually associated with it. But seriously, and when I put in here, men need to listen to this, because estrogen is very dominant in men, and we're going to go through some signs and symptoms that can be there. Estrogen can be very dominant. It's naturally occurring in men, but it can become dominant, and we're going to actually walk you through how, okay? But there's a variety of things that can you need a baseline of understanding how these hormones work, or where they come from and how the body deals with them. The body produces them, but how they're supposed to actually get digested and excreted out of your body. But the concept is that take a world of disease right now, which America is in. Take a world of disease, and disease is rampant. We can actually relate pretty much any chronic disease to a hormone imbalance. So we have this thing that is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gonadal axis. Whoa. If you can look it up, it used to be just the HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, but the gonads, ovaries, and testes are included in this. And so there's this huge loop. Hang with me, man. You're probably like, oh my God, I don't want to talk about ovaries or testes. This is making me uncomfortable. Just bear with me on this, because you're going to learn something that can improve your sex drive. It can improve your musculature. It's just, you got to hear this. So hang with this. But the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gonadal axis, HPAG axis, is basically this loop, all right, that all integrates. This is what I love about understanding the body from a different aspect. And again, not picking on medicine, but medicine is very reductionistic. If your thyroid's not working, we're going to actually look exactly at the thyroid. Why? Because the thyroid's not functioning. Well, the thyroid is a byproduct of the pituitary gland, and then that all is a byproduct of the adrenals, and the adrenal sufficiency or insufficiency working, and then of course your gonads. And so there's this loop. Everything works together. I'm not going to get into biochemistry, the scientific side of stuff. Just understanding that there's this loop that goes on, and of course stress can impact all of this. All right, stress can impact this, and stress comes in multiple forms. All right, multiple forms. But the concept is just understanding that this is all connected. If you have a thyroid issue, you can't just go attack the thyroid and say, hey, we need thyroid medications, because we got to look at how the pituitary is functioning. We'll look at adrenal gland function. We'll look at your women, you will look at your menstrual cycle, see what's going on with gonadal function. Men, testing hormone levels. Where's your testosterone at? Where's your estrogen at? All these things have to come into play to be able to look at the body as a whole and see how it's functioning. Because the body, from what we learned yesterday, the body is going to react. If I'm depressed, the body is reacting in a certain way. and my depression can actually cascade a bunch of different hormonal levels, trying to fix what we got going on. The depression, you know it. If you've ever done something amazing that you love to do, like I've always wanted to do this bucket list, your hormones are like, woo! You get this dopamine rush. You get all sorts of epinephrine, norepinephrine, basically all these elation type of concepts that go on in your body. And this is an awesome, awesome thing. But on the flip side, when you're depressed, you have that opposite type of hormones. So the body is constantly in this balance. All right. And so where I first came across this was a doctor by the name of Dr. Bob Bukowski. He was, when I was in the Midwest, he was doing some talks out there, and I found out that he was like the chiropractor for the Olympic sprint team, the women's sprint team, and he was their nutritionist as well. And so one of the things that he brought to the table on for the Olympic sprint team was a estrogen detox. And I was like, well, that's kind of intriguing, so I'm going to read more about it. So in order to actually increase performance, we know testosterone has an ability to create more lean muscle mass, and it's just kind of one of those things. Anybody think about, like, some of the famous people, Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, steroids, they got huge, right? Back in the day, they got huge. Think about that as testosterone, and human growth hormone is another component of that. It doesn't matter so much how that happens, but just understanding it from an Olympic sprinter, they can naturally detox estrogen and then have a dominance of testosterone, so get stronger, and they can actually, sprint and do all these types of things a little bit faster. And they saw with actually doing an estrogen detox, that was the only thing that they did. They actually saw little tweaks, hundredths of a second, tenths of a second for some, that were able to improve their performance. Okay, but so this goes full circle on everything else. Okay, this is going to go full circle for you in understanding this, but more in the aspects of not just trying to sprint and be a better performer, but understanding that how your body works and the diseases, the pains, the aches, the cardiovascular issues that you may have, all can kind of come down to this. And we're going to give you a potential solution here at the end, because that's the tip and the trick of the day. A potential solution here at the end, but understanding that this whole system works together. Okay, now let's look at estrogen and testosterone. So estrogen is predominantly a woman produced by the ovaries, so it's a female hormone, but they have testosterone. Women, you have testosterone too, and men are just more predominant in testosterone because that's what's produced by the testes, and you men have estrogen as well. Now, how does this get out of balance? Well, your stress hormones, or inability to break down some of these hormones, testosterone and estrogen, can create an issue where this hormone stays elevated in your body, where it stays elevated in your body. And when it's staying elevated in your liver and other processes don't break this down, then you are in trouble, because it starts having a detrimental effect. It's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be broken down and digested and basically released in your body. And then what? More is produced. Okay? So here's how we mess it up. Women, you go on birth control, which is a slow release of estrogen, progesterone to make your body think that you're pregnant. And so then your body produces its natural still and is like, hey, what's going on? And so we can actually prolong this. All right, so yes, I'm saying birth control can have a detrimental effect. Well, birth control is something that we're prescribing across the board. Parents, you're letting this be prescribed to your little ones because of what? Acne, or some difficult menstrual cycles for teenagers, things like that. We just jump in and just like, oh, we're going to put this to try to normalize. That's the solution. I'm going to give you an option. We're going to give you a different. But understand that that is a hormone. To understand that there are, and you can look this up, there are xenoestrogens, X-E-N-O. I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but xenoestrogens that really kick the body's ass as far as estrogen goes. Your body, they mimic estrogen. So they come in and they're like mimicking estrogen. And it looks like I'm in the middle of this and my camera's gonna die. But if the camera dies, go look at the podcast. Listen to the podcast instead of watching it. We gotta charge these things. Anyway, so estrogen coming in from a false source. So if you guys remember the old plastic scares, the BPAs that were out there, bisphenol A and everything along those lines, and there was like good plastics, bad plastics. That was because it was leaching xenoestrogen. All right, we're picking up where we left off. I am moving and shaking because we actually just spliced the camera in, and I want this on YouTube, so we just keep this going. So understanding that estrogen has this predominating effect on the body when it's elevated and at the highest levels, that it will actually start to break down the body. It causes all sorts of issues from, like I said, cardiovascular issues, menstrual issues, joint pain. The list, it doesn't matter. Just understand that this needs to be balanced in your world. It has to be balanced in your body. And again, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to balance this, how to keep this balanced, but it's an understanding that it needs to be balanced, okay? And so we go down this path of actually taking in environmental estrogens and taking in, now we're going to eat, and we're going to eat foods that are predominantly estrogenic because they're made in a lab, and when they're made in a lab, estrogen is a big part of this. All right, so just understand that you are taking estrogen on from multiple different sources, okay? Environmental causes like the plastics, that was a big scare with Roundup. It has a huge estrogenic effect on the body. It's a chemical, so chemicals like pesticides and herbicides and things that you may be using outside, all right? I put on rubber gloves if I'm going to use that. I actually don't, but use it. I used to, and then when I found out some of this stuff, I went to and changed to sort of some of the more natural ways and natural approaches for, getting bugs out of gardens and stuff like that, which don't work. So I just come and we share flowers and stuff we have with our bugs. But anyways, I digress. The purpose, though, is to understand from that standpoint that you are definitely taking on estrogens in your environment. Okay, so we're willing to admit that we are not eating as good as we can, and we're taking on environmental estrogens, and then we might add birth control. Men, you're not running birth control, but there's other elements. And then there's a fourth component to this, alcohol. Alcohol actually inhibits the digestion or the breakdown of estrogen. And the studies are coming more and more clear on that. So if you're a chronic alcohol user, okay, meaning just maybe it's a couple glasses of wine or a drink in the evening, something like that happens, your body's ability to break down that estrogen goes less and less. Now, if you have somebody that's not having any estrogenic type symptoms and is having a couple drinks here and there, it's not like a panic 911 type of thing. But understand, if somebody is having these, if you are having a heightened level of estrogen-based symptoms, alcohol has to be eliminated. It just absolutely has to be eliminated. And so here's the tip and the trick of today. There is something that you can do called an estrogen detox. Men, you've been waiting for this. If you've listened this far, you get this gift. All right, you can do an estrogen detox, which is actually helping the body. Now, naturally, green leafy, above the ground type of vegetables, cauliflower and broccoli and other green leafies like asparagus and things like that. Anything that's got a green leaf above ground is cruciferous vegetables are very good in helping the body. So you need greens. You need lots of water. And then there are some other kind of naturally occurring chemicals that they found in plant sources and other things that can help the body detox this estrogen. So eliminating alcohol, if you're symptomatic on this, eliminating those things and adding in the greens, vegetables, this is the typical detox, though, is it not? And so what we see, and we use a product in our office by Metagenics. It used to be called Estrofactors or Estrovera. It was in a meal, but it's now Axis Endo because they found that most men are very estrogen dominant. Now, estrogen dominant men, what kind of symptoms do you go through? Well, the boobs, you get moobs, unfortunately. All right, so you get gynecomastia, which is a growth, kind of a growth, almost like a breast It gets so severe with some men that they can even lactate. I know, this is crazy. So men, if you're facing moves, you have to actually come to the reality that you have an estrogenic dominance in your body, and your testosterone's like scrambling, like, hey, I'm over here, help me out. And then of course, in men, what you're going to deal with is a decrease of lean muscle mass, and so it's just because cascade, you're going to put typically put a little bit more fat on than anything else. All right, women, you know the symptoms, okay? And men, back to the mood aspects, there are some mood swings with this. Women, we also you also are dealing with the mood. I mean, 100% mood gets impacted by this. It's emotions. It's just getting triggered by stuff. It's highs and lows, and the highs and lows tend to be higher and lower. And so also other factors, like I said, women are most susceptible to the cardiovascular issues, heart disease. Well, estrogen dominance can actually cause all sorts of heart issues. All right, so we see blood pressure and cholesterol and all these things are out of balance. Okay, but the point is, and the tip and the trick today is to recognize if you are dealing with estrogen dominance and some of the symptoms, look it up. Look at your xenoestrogens. You're taking them in from chemicals throughout your body, the pesticides, herbicides, plastics, makeups, shampoos. I don't use shampoo, shampoos and conditioners. Everything that in your environment can be estrogenic in nature. Just type it in xenoestrogen, XENO, the estrogens, xenoestrogens. You'll find a whole list of stuff, and you'll be surprised. But the tip and the trick is to detox estrogen. And I want you to come into our office. You can message me on Facebook if you have some questions on this. This is not about selling a product. Metagenics, though, does have the best product on the market to be able to detox estrogen. But it's this, it's a meal. It's got basic proteins. They're using a pea and pumpkin protein now, very mild protein for the body, and all the components that you need to detox estrogen. Add in some green vegetables, the green leafy above ground vegetables, tons of water, and you can actually bring this back on track. You see, here's the tip, though, and the trick is absolutely amazing in the aspects that you can actually change this. You don't have to go on birth control if you're a teenager. You can actually change this in diet. Put the Doritos aside, put the crap aside, and the body will come back into alignment. This is a whole concept. I'm sick and tired of actually putting teens on birth control, or people actually going on thyroid medications, or people actually trying to figure out what the hell's going on in their body, not understanding that there is a direct connection to what they eat, their environment, and the impact that has on the body. And so we're constantly developing these things to be able to help you make a turn, and Metagenics has a product that helps you estrogen detox, helps your liver and your digestive system detox even more, okay? Meaning that helps digest. And in fact, they're actually finding in studies that if your gut is off, which majority of people have digestive issues, if your gut's off, you can't actually metabolize estrogen very well at all. Just like you can't digest anything else, you're not going to metabolize this estrogen. And so estrogen is going to stay high in your system and actually destroy your body. All right, so making a move, like we're talking about daily, what kind of impact could that have in your life? Men, you could actually detox estrogen, heighten your testosterone. This is at my age. Everybody around me is talking about, like, test my hormones. I got to see where my testosterone is, and maybe I can take a supplement, or maybe I can do low dose testosterone and all these stuff. How about we detox estrogen? How about we take the shit out of our diets, we take the chemicals out of our lives, and we actually detox that and allow the body to process and come back into normal balance. The thyroid will come back into alignment once the adrenals are come back into alignment, and once the gonads come back into alignment, once the pituitary knows what the hell's going on in your body, trying to fight all these chemicals. It's just a balance, people. And so a little bit longer today, talking about estrogenic effects on the body, but it is so dominant in our culture right now that it has to be addressed. And now you have the truth. You have the light. What you do with it is totally up to you. Estrogen dominance, we're all there. I do 2 detoxes a year. I do 2 detoxes with estrogen a year because I know it's that prevalent. Do I need to test for it? No, absolutely not. But I know how I feel afterwards. So message me if you have some questions. I'm not trying to say you can get it online. Access Endo by Metagenics. It's a big meal replacement that you take a shake and add some cruciferous vegetables and some water, and you can make a huge difference in your life. Bringing this back on track so you can focus, so you can engage, so you can be one of those people back into life versus suffering from this, what we would think of chronic diseases and other wasting of your body, which is just an estrogen dominance. All right. And love and light, that's all I got for you today, bringing truth, screening facts every single day that we actually get on this podcast. It's a joy. Appreciate you listening to it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.